about that slide. One is I'm a great believer in repurposing content. So if the guys had done all the hard work of creating that beautiful design, why create your own title slide, right? So that's one. The second thing was about what Gunjan said. Brilliant presentation, the best I thought on the whole day. And she talked about context. And I think a lot of it about context is that you plan it. Sometimes it comes to you as a matter of chance, and your campaigns take off. And in this case, I hadn't planned that this session will be just before lunch, and it is about curries, and it just seems to make a lot of sense, make you a lot more hungry for what I got to say. But when I started thinking about this, I honestly must, in my job, do a lot of this, talk to a lot of clients, and I said, the first thing that we do at The Economist, pretty much for anything, is do research, right? So thanks to Google, you can research pretty much everything, right? And I went and looked at what is content marketing and how do people define it. And finally, it seemed that everyone felt an organization called the Content Marketing Institute seems to be the best place to find a definition for content marketing. So here it is. Content marketing is the marketing and business process for creating and distributing relevant and valuable content to attract, acquire, and engage a clearly defined and understood target audience with the objective of driving profitable customer action. Sounds about right. I was just wondering that, imagine that, well, I'm an engineer of very old vintage, and I was thinking that a friend of mine who was in college with me went off to Germany to become a professor, has no idea what marketing is, comes back and says, Suprio, let's meet for a drink. I said, great. So we are having a beer, and he asked me, what are you doing? I said, I do content marketing. I said, all right. He says, what is that? And I tell him that. What do you think? Well, I don't think the reaction that my friend will have can be uttered here in public. But the problem is that, I couldn't really make out from that jargon what this meant. So I did what we all do, right? All good marketers do research. What's the best place to do research free of cost? I think I must warn you that the next few slides is not planned. I have not been paid by LinkedIn to do this, but it is the best place to do research and professional at no expense. So this is my humble post about 15 days back. As you can make out, it's very weak. It's not forceful. There are no exclamation marks. It just says, help me out here, define content marketing in one sentence. And 41,000 people looked at that. One, I'll come to what I got out of that. The first thing was definitely that all of you are at the right place, right? This is the hottest thing in the world. 41,000 people want to know what content marketing is. As you can see there, 163 of them commented. So the rest of them were trying to look at what those definitions were. It worries me a bit, 40,000 odd people trying to figure out what content marketing is still. Well, let's see what else came out of that research. A lot of people from IBM here, they're asking a lot of questions. Right. I can pardon the Economist for that. It was me. So I guess some of them wanted to look at what I was doing on LinkedIn. But IBM, Cognizant, TCS are trying to figure out what content marketing is. That's interesting. And I can still forgive the salespeople because, yes, their job is to figure this out. Marketing specialists, founders, CEOs, and in huge numbers, right? That's really fascinating. And I said, hey, this is something here. And of course, because we are in India and I'm based in Bombay, most of my audience followers are in Bombay. But you can look at that healthy spread across India. But a few days before this came in, the NCR surge happened in the last 4 or 5 days, if you want to go by the polling thing. But when it was about 25,000, you had London, and underneath that you had Paris, and you had... So there's this whole bunch of people across the world who want to find out what the definition of content marketing is. I was reasonably intrigued by this whole phenomenon. some of the comments, okay, I don't think you can make all that out, but if you can read the comments that were there, the people trying to define it. So, for example, I read a few out because they're not very clear, I'm sure, the back. The first one was in the one I put up there, very poetic, grabbing those eyeballs that wink in a nice way for your brand stroke product. And it goes on, like creating a cultural phenomena that breeds want for the brand by forming a purpose in the target human's life. Trigger consumer interest resulting in desired sales, letting the world know your presence, connecting and engaging your customer with quality content, and so on. A trend that started emerging was there was this bunch of people saying this is about sales. There's a bunch of people who are talking about this is about brands. There was no meeting point really. So there's either brand or there was sales. And there's some guys, obviously, as usual, who are having fun. Two of my favorite ones. Someone saying that is sizzle selling the steak. But the fun which I really like was a short and sweet definition. It's a buzzword designed to make advertising agencies feel insecure. I think that's really brilliant, right? And so, but coming back, becoming a little more serious about this, I said, I kept reading this. Some of them were really good. I think they were really good, and you build, but some of them worried me. Like someone put up, you build your shop, website, business. People come to see you, relevant content to people on the devices, etc., etc. So these are the kind of words that were played back in those many 150, now it's I think reached 150 plus comments. Brand, visibility, connect, sales, storytelling, blogs, grabbing eyeballs, not sales, sharing films, infographics. So I said, hey, I thought this was going to be easy. I'm going to put this post up, people will tell me what this is, I'll go and talk about it, and my job's done. But obviously it's not done. So I thought back and said, let me not look at what's out there in Google for once and try to figure this out myself. I suddenly remembered that about 3 years back, sorry, I should have shown that. That's what I felt when I went through all the comments. All of you know that story, right? If you don't, that's the blind man and the elephant story, right? A very famous story in India. You got this whole bunch of blind men who were put in a room with an elephant, and they were asked to describe the elephant. And quite correctly, as our friends before have done, they defined it from their perspective. If someone is dealing with a B2B person, and that's their client who wants sales, he's defining from the sales perspective. If you're a big brand, like Myntra has a lot of money, they have the luxury of talking about it from a brand perspective. And it's pretty much that. Someone called the elephant a rope, someone called it a fan, someone called it a wall, and so on and so forth. So as I was saying, let me try and find this answer myself. It reminded me of this article I wrote about 3 years back of an incredible experience I had. And 3 years back, it was incredible. Today, I think all of us are very familiar with this. And what happened here, let me describe that to you. And I'll try to help us understand what I think is this whole game about and where mutton curry fits into all this, right? So this is what happened. I saw a tweet about a marketing book. I'd never heard of the book, right? I clicked on the YouTube link. I saw an interesting discussion with the book's author. There was some price of the book flashing in the video. I went to Flipkart, ordered the book, received confirmation. Awareness, interest, and desire. I told you I was very old school, so I still believe in the AIDA model. You can call it what you want. This is what it is, marketing is, right? Awareness, interest, and desire and action. All that happened in 15 minutes. But can any of you hazard what are the two critical pieces, or what information have I left out that will help you understand this better? Anyone wants to take a guess? From a content marketing perspective, if you want. Sorry? What the book is about? Anything else? Sorry? Sorry? I could have missed in the tweet. So if you think a little bit, go back and said, why did I see that tweet? How many tweets go through your timeline every second? Sorry? How I? I didn't get that actually. Sorry? All right, that's coming closer. So there are two reasons. You see a lot of tweets on your timeline. I'm just taking tweets as an example. You could be on Facebook, right? You click on some, you click on, don't click on some. Why is that, right? There are two pieces of information I didn't give you is whose tweet, right? And the more important one, which you were referring to, whose book. Those are the two critical things, right? I would probably not have looked at the tweet if I didn't know the person or if I didn't respect the person whose tweet it was. And it's very important whose book it was. An arbit person talking about an interest area of mine, which is marketing. This book is about marketing. I would not really have taken two maybe and spend my time clicking on it, right? So this is the first bit of my article. I'm not going to bore you with that. So this is the storyline of how it happened. So the story, there are two people here, two things here which are important. Brand storyboard is the storyboard which comes on CNBC. If you don't watch it, you should watch it. It's very nice. Don't watch. I don't ever watch it on TV, by the way. I see it online. And Rama Bijapurkar. Now, some of you may not have heard of Rama Bijapurkar, and you should. She's one of the biggest names in marketing in India. These were the two combinations that made all the difference to me. For me to first open the tweet and then go in and see the video because it was Rama Bijapurkar talking about a book. But I had never before this heard about the book, right? So that's the reason I clicked on it, as I said just now. And as I said, storyboard got me the message. That's all they did, but that was important. But as a marketer, the reason I went into that book sale and why it happened was this person, Rama Bijapurkar. So that brings us to mutton curry, right? So when I moved to Bombay from Gurgaon, actually, then Gurgaon, about 15 or 16 years back, I joined a company called Lintas Advertising. And I was at a stage of life which I can best define as between marriages. And I was then a bachelor. And I had to figure out how to survive, right? I learned to cook. And I had some very loyal friends who were willing to be experimented on. And my mutton curry became a specialty with them. And that was the only thing I learned to cook and the only thing I cooked. But the way I cooked it was, I used to listen, we used to meet in the evening and we used to listen to music. And I used to start cooking, and by the time we finished having our drinks, the mutton curry will be ready. It took about 3 hours to cook. And I strongly believe still that the best way to cook mutton curry is the fact that you have to give it time. And that's the point of what I'm talking about today, that good content marketing takes time. You can't run away from it. My talk is not going to be very long. I don't have videos, I don't have examples. I just want to leave everyone with you with this one simple point and emphasize that, and I'll tell you why it makes business sense after that. After all, a lot of you are here for something that you can take away. If anything you take away the fact that content marketing, you can run away from it. It may seem that it happened instantly, like in my case, in 15 minutes a sale happened. But it didn't happen in 15 minutes. That was just what you saw. If you measure everything by, like we do, a lot of us do, make the mistake of measuring things only and appropriating a sale only to the channel where the final sale happened, which means someone went to search and he closed, you attribute all the credit to search and that's what you stop at, then you have a problem. And that's why marketing attribution has become such a big thing. Because it didn't happen there. The reason why the person went there may have been 10 years of seeing brand work on that particular thing. And when I bought that book, Rama Bijapurkar was 57 years old. She started her career when she passed out of IMA. She worked in a number of storied brands. Finally, she started consulting, I think about 20 years back. She's written hordes and hordes of articles, which I have read. She's written lots of books, which I had read one of them before, and this was the second one. but I continue to follow her and read her articles there. All that, all that, over 15 years or 20 years of her interaction with me ended up with what looks like a magical sale, right? To finish of my talk, I will leave you with something which is more management-like, so that everyone is happy, right? Everyone loves these things, right? Beautiful little grids which make a lot of sense. But it's very commonsensical what I'm going to say, but I put it there because it's interesting to me. Imagine that you are in a business which can spend money consistently. It's a theoretical example, it'll go up and down, but let's assume that you spend X dollars on content marketing and Y dollars or 2X dollars on sales. You'll have to spend money on sales. Even if you start it today, you will have to spend money on sales. You can't, a marketer can't say, wait for content marketing to happen. 10 years later, we'll start selling a product. It doesn't work like that. You have to start selling. But why then do content marketing? It's very simple, actually. If you do it consistently, give it time, your brand engagement will go up. Take it from me. It does work that way. And what the other thing that everyone was talking about today, as Virginia mentioned earlier in the morning, that no one talks about CTR anymore. Fact of life. People talk about, all of us should talk about how much it costs to acquire a customer, right? Your CPA will go down. And if you know the basics of making money for your company, if your cost per acquisitions go down, your what's called LTV, I hate acronyms, the long-term value of your business, the customer you acquire will go up. So if you go back to the Rama Bijapurkar example, if you just measure that, I said the CPA would be what? The cost per acquisition was zeros. Rama Bijapurkar was asked by a channel to come and speak about her book. She spoke about her book. Me, a customer or target audience, saw that YouTube video free of cost to her, and I ended up buying the book. So I measured that, CPA is zero. But that happened only because she has done a wonderful job of content marketing all these years. She never called it that, obviously, but we can now fit that jargon into her life and call it content marketing, right? So usually this session is called question and answers, so I've not been presumptuous. If you have any questions, I may not have the answers. That's why it's just called questions. Yes.
Thank you so much, Suprio. The house is now open for questions.
And similarly, content marketing takes time. So how much time do you think from the point that you decide that you want to do a campaign and expecting the results? How much time does that take?
Well, that I would have to take about 2 days to explain that to you. Because I'll have to start from the very basics of understanding what your product is, right? Starting there. What your industry is, how does your product fare there right now, what's the strategy that you're following to sell your product. Once you do that, you can figure out a marketing plan. In that, you may actually not need content marketing at all. Who says that everything requires content marketing? I don't believe that. But first, please understand this is not the answer to everyone's problems. It is a part of a marketing program solution. You have to still do the hard work, understanding your consumers, figuring out what their needs are, what their motivations are, do all the classical things you did in marketing. But what the advantage is, the tools you have to do content marketing today, if you do them smartly, you can do them cheaper. As you could see what Myntra did, they have spent 10 lakhs on a campaign online with a brilliant ad and got great results. It's very difficult to get 3.5 million viewers even on TV if you spend that kind of money, right? So the idea is that there are no answers to that. You have to find that answer. I'm not getting, as I said, I don't have answers. That doesn't mean I'm getting away from that question. But if you defined your product to me, if you told me where you are in your life as a company, I can give you an answer.
So let's take digital marketing for example.
What is
Suppose
digital
I want to sell digital marketing.
You want to sell digital marketing?
Yes,
to
as
who?
a service.
Right. So let me ask you a question. What is digital marketing to you, and who are your customers?
Okay,
who are you targeting?
Suppose an e-commerce company,
a
startup,
startup
e-commerce.
What do they sell?
Watches probably.
Watches. So e-commerce company that sell watches, do they make their own watches or they buy it from imported?
They have a store for multi-branded watches.
It's multi. So they don't make their own watches.
No.
Right. So
I'm making this
those
up.
watches are available everywhere else,
Yes.
on retail outlets, etc.,
Yes.
etc. Right. So you are an agency who wants to help them sell more watches.
Yes.
Right. So why do they think they will make a better job of doing this? What is their sell?
I'm sorry.
Why will I not go to an outlet in a mall here and buy it and buy it digitally? What is their advantage from their shop? What are they bringing to the table? So Amazon brings better price, quicker
Yes.
delivery, convenience. What do your store bring?
There can be a list of things. Probably I'm giving a better deal, or
No, you can't be probably. You have to know. That's the whole point.
because I'm making this up.
Of course, you're making it up. I'm making up the answers also.
Okay.
But I just have a little more experience at doing it. No.
So I'm not that experienced. If you want to know that.
Right. Now, see, the thing is that if you're really serious of understanding that, that's my handle, and I can give you my email ID. Write to me a theoretical thing, and I'll answer it to you. You can't do it like this. There's a reason why I have been working for so long. You think you can do this in 5 minutes? You can't.
No. Right. I totally agree. So, so I can connect with you offline.
Sure, you can.
Yeah.
Anyone can. It's a free world.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We're
Okay, one
running
more there.
short of
There's
time.
one more there. Yeah, I can't see you.
So
Don't
I
be
would,
scared. Don't be scared. It's okay.
I represent a niche media brand here, and we are a publishers of, and we serve a certain very selected community. So I would like to just pick your brain.
Is it
and-
secret? Whatever you
No.
do? No. Then can you tell us a little more
so
about it?
we are called People Matters Media.
People matters.
Yes.
All right.
And we exclusively serve the HR community in India.
Fantastic. Great.
So
So I'm from XLRI. I know all about HR people. All right. So ask me anything you want.
Yeah, so it's coming more from a publisher's perspective, from your Economist experience as
Sure.
such. I would like to understand what's your approach to content marketing if you're doing branded content on an Economist or as a platform. So what's your approach? What's your thought process to content marketing when you work with
Are you
various
asking
brands?
whether content marketing for the Economist, the brand?
No, for the other brands. If you're talking about branded content. That
Okay. As a service.
Yes.
All right. Great. So the one thing that I didn't get into, as I believe that any communication should be focused on leaving the audience with one thing, and in my case it was time, and I stuck to that and didn't clutter up my presentation. What I didn't talk about, which is very, very relevant to content marketing, is that there is this whole thing about I did part of the research which I didn't put in here was a survey which I found it will dishearten you guys so much that you will stop coming here to this conference. But there's a B2B survey done recently where the dissatisfaction with content marketing is so high, it's not funny. And I don't blame it, because most people who are doing it from one part of the elephant, as I showed you. So in our case, when we do content marketing for other brands, the first thing that we ask them, like I was asking the lady before you, is that be very clear. You have to help that brand first figure out whether they know why they're doing content marketing. And if they don't, you better walk away from it, because your brand will get sullied along with it. That's the first thing. If they know what they're doing, if they know who the audience is, you will be able to understand what the audience needs are. You may have to figure it out for them. Then we figure out what kind of content we design. The advantage the Economist has is that we have this great other brand along with us called the Economist Intelligence Unit. Almost all our content marketing program is based on original research, because we believe that you have to give something of value in content marketing which is original, not cut pasted from various sources. You have to have original content, valuable content to your audience. And if your audience is in a B2B place, which are CEOs, they read as much as you do. It has to be new content. So we believe in we focus on creating original content through the EIU, then using various platforms to reach our audience. That's what we do. It's not very difficult, valuable, relevant, and we figure that out before we start any work. And if you can't figure it out, we don't do it. As simple as that.
Thank you so much.
Great. I have another quick question.
I'm very
Last
sorry,
question.
but we are running short of time. We can connect with Suprio offline.
Can I
Extremely
ask this
sorry.
quick question? It'll just take a second.
It'll be great if we can off, where we have a panel discussion coming
It's okay,
up.
I'll keep my answer short. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is just basically to ask you about a particular segment. So small and medium manufacturers in India at the moment are developing homegrown technology. And I just like some insight from you about how, what narrative they can leverage through content to talk about them as a proposition again, to replace maybe imported technologies which perhaps do the same thing. Is the Make in India
Got it.
narrative
Okay, I
worthwhile?
got your question, and I think fair enough to the organizers. I
Mhm.
can take that question outside. It will take me more than 2 minutes to answer that. But it's a
Okay.
very good question, and I can help you with that outside the room.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you so much, Suprio. RP, can we please felicitate Suprio?
Oh.